Welcome to Musings of a Super Doer with host Christina Kendall. Over the next hour, you will learn what keeps Christina and her guests busy with all their day-to-day life tasks. Now, here's Christina.
Hey there, welcome to Musings of a Super Doer. I'm your host and resident super doer, Kris Kendall. I'm so glad you're going to be joining us today. In this episode and in all episodes, I'm just going to share some random musings about what's going on in my world and maybe some things that apply to your world as well. Today, we're going to talk about moms groups, and I'll also kind of lead that into some random musings about traveling in general. And then I'd like to talk about some PTA stuff. It's that time of year. And then if there's time, I might share some thoughts about decluttering. So keeping it random as I love to do. And so we'll just see how the timing goes from there. Okay, so let's just get started. All right. When I was pregnant with my first son, I wanted to do all the stuff. I wanted to have all the experiences and make sure I did everything exactly like I was supposed to, and I guess like I'd seen on TV. So I wanted to take Lamaze classes, even though I knew I was going to have all the drugs. I was very adamant from the beginning. I was getting an epidural. I was not going to go through any of the pain associated with natural childbirth. There was no reason to do that. So I planned 100% to have drugs, but I wanted to have the experience. So I took the Lamaze class and it was great. It was set up through the hospital. And there were probably 10 or 12 other couples in the 4 or 6 week session that I was in, and so it was really nice to see other moms at the same stage of their pregnancies, kind of right before delivery. And then when I gave birth, on my way out of the hospital, when my son was a day old, I ran into one of those moms from my Lamaze class. Her name was Kim, and she had her baby on the same day, or he might have been born the day before. He may have been 12 hours older than Cole, but technically born the day before, something like that. So anyways, I just briefly stopped to say hi and, see her baby and show her my baby. And we exchanged numbers and email or whatever it was. And then, a couple weeks later, I got a message from her saying that she had met with another mom with a baby the same age, and they were starting up a moms group, and would I like to join? So, I had been at home with a baby for probably 2 or 3 weeks at that point and was definitely ready to start socializing again. So I 100% packed up everything I could possibly need for a 2-hour outing and showed up at this woman's house. So this person was named Andrea. I'd never met her before. I assumed that Kim told her I was coming, and I show up at the door with loaded down with diaper bags and big purse and all this stuff and a baby and a carrier. And she's like, "Hello, can I help you?" And so I'm like, "Yeah, hi. Kim invited me to this play date." And she's like, "Okay, sure, come on in." So you know, I met her, and then I think, maybe 2 other moms showed up that day. So there were a handful of us, and we all had newborns just a few weeks old. And it was so great to just talk to other moms that were in the exact same stage. They were going through the exact same things. Our babies were all within maybe 4 weeks of age of each other. Um, and well, at that point, they were probably within about a week or 2 of each other as the group grew, and more people found us and joined. We had a little bit wider of an age gap. It probably, in the end, I believe there were 11 babies. 9 of them were boys and only 2 girls in that group, born in 2002. And and they were all born within about 8 weeks of each other. Most of them were kind of clumped in this like 3-week period, but there were a few before and afters that ended up in this group with us. So about 11 of us, and we met on a weekly basis. Actually, there were probably some weeks where we met a couple times a week. I was one of the maybe one of the only, or definitely one of the few moms that had to go back to work. So I was only able to like really, really participate for the first like 6 weeks. And then after that, I would join them for lunches, or I would join on a more sporadic basis. I couldn't necessarily go every week, but it was really great. We did Halloweens together. We shared birthdays together. When you've got a 1-year-old, um, for the first birthday, I think it was a really big family affair. All the playgroup kids' families were invited, and all of our family, extended family. But then after that, when they were like 2, 3, 4, we didn't make them quite as big family affairs necessarily. It was more of just, small groups of kids. So it was really nice to have that group of core friends that has been around for a while, and that I could, spend time with those moms, and my husband could spend time with those dads that were, like I said, in that exact same space that we were, in that exact same timing. So we met on a pretty regular basis, probably for the first 3 years that, those kids, and at that point, we all started having second kids. So there were several second babies in the group, and then eventually a couple people had third babies in that group, and in that time, a few people moved away, a few people got divorced, a few, changes, happened, but there are probably 6 or so of us that have kinda kept in touch. We're on Christmas card lists, and we try to get together on a, maybe every couple year basis, so not the way we did when the kids were little. But I think it's really important for new moms, and I have a friend who had her first baby during COVID, and it was so heartbreaking that she couldn't do any of this kind of stuff that I did. But for any new parent, not only is it really important, in my opinion, for kids to socialize and babies to see other babies. They love looking at other babies, just like they love looking at animals, and it's important for them to start to be around other people. But it's really so important for the moms to have a group of people that they can trust, that they can talk to, that's not family. With when you have a newborn or an infant, and you're have questions about something, going to your own mom is wonderful. Going to your sister or your aunt, or relatives, is great to have that resource. But I know in my case, and I think that this is true for a lot of people, I didn't necessarily wanna do it the way my mom did it, and I didn't necessarily wanna do it the way my mother-in-law did it, and I started to get a little bit, resentful is not the word, but maybe, and rebellious is not the word either, but somewhere in between resentful and rebellious. I had this, like, if they're telling me to do it, then maybe I don't wanna do it. You know what I'm talking about, right? And so it was really, important, and it helped so much for me to be able to tell my friends who had a baby from this generation. It's not like we're working from 40 years ago. This is how babies were reared, and put a little whiskey on their pacifier kind of situation. Like, I wanted to know what people were doing today, and what was working today, and what experts were saying today. I mean, I did read some books about parenting, but I was not the like super studier. I really felt like I had done it before. I spent a lot of time kind of co-parenting or raising my youngest siblings. I did a lot of babysitting, when I was growing up, and I really felt like kind of an expert with babies and toddlers. So I didn't really need the all-inclusive education that a lot of books come with, but I did, really need that, like, okay, yesterday he did this, or I've been noticing this is happening. And so and when they said, "Oh, yeah, mine too," or "We're doing that exact thing," or "That happened to us," that made me feel so much better. It's definitely different when it's your own kid than when you're babysitting or taking care of somebody else. And so, having that group of people that I could just go to, that knew exactly what I was talking about, and they had no ulterior motives. They benefited in no way from me being successful. They had no reason for me to watch me fail. There was no, like, jealousy or anything like that. It was just a safe space to really, um, be vulnerable, be excited, share good news, share bad news. I don't even wanna talk about it because one of the, babies in our playgroup was not healthy. She was born with a very serious degenerative, um, uh, disease, I guess, is really I was trying to think of, like, more specifically what it is, SMA, so spinal muscular atrophy, I think, I think that's what it is, SMA. Anyways, and so we knew when she was just a few months old that, something wasn't 100% right, but I think it took a few months for her parents to really get the diagnosis. And that was very difficult because as all of our babies were developing and growing and meeting all their milestones, she wasn't. And I'm sure that was very hard for her parents. And I don't know why I thought that this was a good idea to talk about. She did not make it past. I think she just hit her fourth birthday. Um, so that was my first experience with loss, also with somebody losing a baby, like really, not like miscarriage, but like a baby that I had spent time with and um, really associated, just like one of my own kids, and was the exact same age as my 4-year old, my toddler, and um, so that was a very interesting experience as well, and super sad, but also very you know probably good for me to really understand that how lucky I was and how fortunate I was to have a healthy baby, 2 healthy babies at that point that were, meeting all their milestones and doing exactly what the doctors wanted them to do and, growing at the right rate and playing and developing and doing all the stuff that they were supposed to do. So we were really, really lucky. But anyways, that play group, was really meant a lot to me during a very tough time, when, I was trying to balance being a brand new mom, going back to work, being a, somewhat new wife. We'd only been married a couple years. We had just remodeled a house. We were, doing a lot of life things. And so having that space and those people that I could rely on and go to and just hang out with. And honestly, so we met weekly, maybe even twice a week. And a lot of times it was like literally meet at Target and we would just have the babies in strollers and we would walk through Target. And it was so wonderful. Like we could take our time. We looked at everything. We just chatted. We, gave the kids a snack or whatever. And it was just such a happy, fun time. So um, definitely want to encourage people, no matter how old your kids are, even if they're older, if you have kids in a sporting team, some kind of a club and scouting and, whatever organization, whatever stage they're at, if there's an opportunity for you to um, create a relationship with some of those other parents that are, you know, whether they're your age or not, they could be older or younger, but as long as they are supportive and you feel like they genuinely want to see you be happy and successful, there are going to be those people who, you know, dance moms come to mind. I don't know if you ever watched the TV show Dance Moms. They were all like so evil and out to get each other and, stabbing each other in the back and kind of thing. I know that that was all very scripted. I met with a woman who was on the show for a while, on a cruise randomly, and she was saying how it's just such a negative experience, and the producers really push them to be awful to each other. So not like that. Don't find a group like that to connect with. But if you have an opportunity to create a little space of people that are in a similar life situation as you, take it. Go out of your way to schedule meetings, even whether it's once a month, every 6 months. Just keep that connection because it's really going to help you. And your health, your happiness, your sanity, all the things that will get make you stronger and help you get through those tough times. To have that is really important. Okay. Um so when I was telling my friend about, this episode and that I was going to be talking about moms groups, she told me about some show called Bluey. Now she's got a newborn and a toddler, so she knows all the current shows. It's been a while since I've watched the Disney people, and the Disney shows, but she's telling me about Bluey and how I remind her of Chili, which I guess is the mom on the show, the little puppy mom, because she takes time for herself and she has boundaries and she does not let her kids like control her, and her world does not revolve around her kids. So I watched a quick episode of Bluey, and it looks really adorable. I can see why moms are gravitating toward it, and it made me kind of want to segue into my second topic today, which is traveling. So the whole reason the mom group came up is because I am leaving tomorrow for a trip to Cabo with some girlfriends that were part of my mom group. So it's been a while since I've hung out with them. Gosh, it's one of the friends I've seen within the past few years. The other two, I think there's going to be four of us. The other two, it's been maybe 5 or 6 years or more since we've done like a little weekend trip or gone out to dinner or whatever. We've kind of spread out a little bit, moved out of the general area of each other, and just gotten busy with life as we do. So it's been a little bit of time, but we are getting together we're meeting up in Cabo San Lucas, and we're just gonna have like a long weekend at this beautiful resort. um and I think just hang out and eat and drink and have spa treatments and talk and do all the fun stuff that we used to do when we were talking about little kids, and now that we all have kids either out of the house or just about to be out of the house, it's I think it's going to be a really fun experience. And so that made me think about how important traveling is, because today I'm checking in, I'm packing, I'm grabbing my passport from the safe and getting all of the things that I need. And because we're going to Mexico, I'm honestly a little bit nervous. Right as I was doing some of my travel stuff a week or so ago, there was a travel advisory from the government saying that Americans should avoid traveling to Mexico because of safety issues. So that definitely got me a little nervous, but I think we're being smart. The friend who's planning, kind of taking the lead on the planning, she's taken this trip several times, and she has organized cars to pick us up at the airport, get us to the resort. I think we're going to spend most of the time at the resort where, we'll be safe. And I don't expect that we will leave the resort very often. And if we do, it'll be in a, controlled and safe way. But yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. I have this what's it called, a stun gun pen. It's like the size of a pen, but you charge it up and you can like use it as a stun gun. I wanted to try to take it with me like in my checked bag, but I don't want to like risk getting on the no fly list or something like that, so I am not going to pack it. But when I get there, if I have an opportunity to buy some sort of self-defense device that is safe and not going to get me injured, but will make me feel better, I might pick one up. But outside of that, I love traveling. It was really important to me when I had kids that they were comfortable traveling and that we did it as often as possible. When they were little, it was usually, traveling meant a trip to Disneyland. We're in California, so even a trip to Disneyland is a, 6-hour drive in each direction. It's 3 nights in a hotel and then, going to the parks and restaurants and stuff like that. So it's a big deal, even at that stage. But then as I got a little bit older, we went to Mexico, or yeah, we did go to Mexico, but like Hawaii or visiting family in different states. And so the trips kind of spread out a little bit more. But then when my older son entered high school, he had a teacher who liked to plan these student trips every year. And so he came home from school like a month after he started high school and said, my teacher's planning a trip to Greece and Italy this summer. And I said, yes, we will go. You and I are going. And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, I wonder if the family can go. And she said it was okay. So my husband and my younger son, who was let's see, Cole was he would have been like 14. So Ryder was probably 11. So I had an 11-year-old, a 14-year-old, myself and my husband, and we signed up for this trip. And it was amazing. It was through an EF Tours, which is an educational touring company. They do, like, locally, they'll do the trips to Washington, DC, or things like that, that lots of schools, junior highs or middle schools will do that trip for their students. And, like the French classes, French teachers will often do a trip to Paris with students over the summer, and same with different languages. So this particular teacher just liked to take a trip every year to different places. And so this happened to be where they were going. So we went along. It was a wonderful experience. The boys got to run in Olympia at the very first, marathon track from the Olympics, and um we went on a cruise through all the Greek islands. I think it was like Mykonos, Crete, Sono, Santorini, of course. Um, there were a few others. I don't even remember them all, but that was super fun. And then we went to, the Parthenon and the Vatican, of course, and the Colosseum. I mean, just these amazing places. And so we had a wonderful experience. And we decided that we were going to do one of these trips every year. So the following summer, we did it again. We went as a family and we went to, um, where was the second trip? Was to also in Europe, but it was Madrid and Barcelona and few other places. I don't even remember. Um, all through, yeah, southern France, and like we went to Monaco and um yeah, beautiful coastline, and then Switzerland. Oh yeah, Switzerland. So we did these great trips. The kids got to do so many exciting things. One of the trips was in Costa Rica. They got to plant a tree in the rainforest there and play soccer with a group of another high school kids at their school. We went and visited. So for whether you have children or not, traveling and getting to experience other cultures and just seeing how other people live is such an important privilege that we get as, somewhat wealthy Americans, I guess. And I don't mean wealthy like you've got, you know, millions of dollars in the bank. I mean, wealthy in the sense that like you have a home and you have food on the table and you know, have a little bit of money in the bank. um, you know, being able to use some of that to experience other places and to see how other people live, I think is a super valuable experience that I recommend for everybody at any stage in life. We planned one of the trips to take my mom with us, and she was so excited, and we were so excited to take her. Unfortunately, that was in 2020 when COVID hit, and we all those trips were canceled. So for 2 years, we didn't get to go anywhere. Um, but, you know, fortunately, now we're able to start traveling again, and I have several international trips planned this year, which is why I have finally, signed up for Global Entry, and I have an appointment with them, in a couple months to get all that done, so hopefully when I'm going through customs and stuff, it'll be much easier and faster, but, yeah, definitely consider traveling with or without other people. And you know, I know that there are lots of people who feel like, well, I haven't even been to every state in this country. Why would I travel to other countries? And I think that there's an obvious answer there. I mean, in this country, lots of areas in this country, I mean, there's a million beautiful places in this country to visit, and definitely take those chances, take those opportunities when you can. But a lot of the places are similar, right? I mean, there's probably groups of states that are very similar. So, you know, you know what it's like. If you've been to New England, you know what New Englanders are like. You don't necessarily have to be in every single major city or every single little state to get a feel for the food, the seafood, and the culture and the accents and the way they talk and the way, you know, the kind of careers that they have and the things that are interesting in different regions. So if you have at least experienced different regions and want to branch out, I highly recommend taking some trips. And I am not comfortable doing international travel planning myself, so I always travel with with a tour guide, a tour company. A lot of people don't like that, and they want to do their own thing. They want to plan every aspect of it. They want to rent a car and drive everywhere and do their thing, and that's great. I mean, if you like to do it that way, then definitely do it that way. It's probably cheaper. Um, I don't think it's less stressful, and I don't think you get to see as much because unless you're just a super planner, but I don't think you get to see as much because there's a lot more like getting lost and trying to figure things out and trying to, you know, understand the maps and figuring out which is the best entry to the Vatican or waiting in line at this monument instead of having, you know, the you know, straight access inside that we get with the tour groups. But anyways, however you decide to do it, I strongly would recommend taking that opportunity too. Okay, so that is enough about that. We're going to take a quick break. So grab a snack, check your stocks, do what you need to do. And when we get back, we'll be talking about um, decluttering. So kind of a random thing, but something that's on my mind at the moment. Talk then. Hey, friends. If you're just joining us, I'm Kris Kendall, host of Musings of a Super Doer. And before the break, we were talking about moms groups and traveling and some of my experiences with that. And so now I want to give you some random musings about decluttering. So this is something that I get a wild hair for every few months. Probably another area of my house just becomes too cluttered, too annoying, too in my face. I can't stand it, and I have to just like tear everything apart and start fresh. And so that's what I'm going to be doing today. Well, hopefully today. I need to pack for my trip. So part of the packing process is going to be pulling stuff out and putting them in either donate or like rag bags that will go in the garage or go in the trash. Um, and then as I'm packing, but depending on how the day goes, I may end up only having time to pack and not actually be able to get too much of the decluttering done, which means it'll be next week. But if you're familiar with Marie Kondo and her tidying methods of, pulling every single thing out of your closet, every single thing out of your drawers, holding it in your hands, looking at it and deciding if it brings you joy and if you want to keep it and if it fits, and it's still fashionable, something you would wear, put it back in the closet or the drawer nicely. And if not, get rid of it. You don't need to keep it. And so this is my plan. I have done this before. I put every single thing into huge piles on my bed and spent an entire day literally just going through every single thing. I probably got rid of 6 like big black trash bags of clothes that I don't use, that I don't plan to ever use, that don't fit. They aren't going to fit again. And if they do fit again, I'm probably not going to want to wear them anyways. And so it's time to do that, to just go through. I am really, I like this. It's not the most environmental friendly and it's not great, I think, as a philosophy, but I like buying cheap clothes that are somewhat disposable that I can just wear 5 times, and then if they shrink or they get crazy and they're not right or they pill up or, whatever, then the color fades or something, I can just get rid of it. Because I like, rotating my clothes on a regular basis. I know that that's not environmentally friendly and I should try to buy clothes that are going to last 10 years, but I don't really want to be wearing the same clothes for 10 years. And realistically, I'm probably not going to fit in the same clothes for 10 years. So spending, $200 on a sweater just because it's going to last doesn't make a lot of sense to me when I probably don't need it to last. And if I can buy a cute sweater for $15, which is what I do often, and only wear it for a few times before it starts to get a little wonky, and then I donate it or, get rid of it in some way. I like that better. So this is one of my guilty pleasures that I probably need to kick that habit. But being honest, that is how I shop right now. And so I have a closet full of stuff that much of it I love, but it's starting to fade. It's not fitting right. It's not looking, the way it did when I bought it. And I really do just need to pull it out and start to get rid of that. One of the things that I've found is really helpful is I like to keep my closet color coordinated. So I'll put all the black clothes, all the hanging black clothes together, and then I go to the white or gray, or, just sort of work my way through the rainbow. And that helps me see how much I have. My black section is like a third of my closet. So when it's time to pick the clothes that I really wear on a regular basis, that I really love and I really want to keep, a lot of that will get pared down. Not only because I can't wear them all, obviously, I only wear so many things, and when I'm not going into the office, I pretty much wear the same workout clothes every single day. So having 15 different, nice black tops that are work worthy is a little much. I really need about 3 in each color, and I'm set for the year. Um, so, color coordinating is one way that I can kind of keep track of where I am over oversubscribed in a certain color or a certain style. And then from there, I try to think about the seasons and how many sweaters do I need? How many short sleeve shirts do I need? How many tank tops do I need? Because I don't really wear a lot of tank tops. I do sometimes, but I don't wear a lot. And in my mind, I think that someday I'll have, really nicely sculpted muscular arms and not flabby arms. And I will want to wear a tank top every day during the summer. But I mean, realistically, that's probably never going to happen. And so I need to um, reduce the number of tank tops and like sleeveless kind of things in my closet, because when it does come time and that I'm trying to pick something to wear and it's a hot day and I'm looking at this like, oh, this is perfect. I always end up putting it back because I don't actually want to wear that today, or that's not right. And so anything that I don't usually want to wear or that is never right for the situation is going. It's gone. It's going to be donated. And hopefully there's somebody out there who loves it and is looking for exactly that item, because it's not doing me any good just hanging in my closet for years at a time without being touched. I think back to the guest we had, Aaron, who was talking about the things that we love and how we get attached to inanimate items. And clothing is one thing that I think a lot of women, a lot of people, they find themselves that they love certain items, and even if they don't wear them, they don't want to get rid of them. And part of it is because it's aspirational. You think you want to wear it. You want to have an occasion to wear this like ball gown or something like that, or you want to be in a wedding again, and so you keep all of your bridesmaids dresses just in case one of these dresses is going to work for a future wedding or something. That's never the case. And there's always, if you're anything like me, you're going to want to go shopping for that event anyway. So don't let your emotional attachment to an item that you really aren't actually using keep you from getting rid of it. Share that with somebody else, give it away. Not only are you freeing up your space and creating a much more like open environment, when you don't have a million choices and you don't have like so much clutter, you really do feel this sense of like, I don't know, freedom is maybe not the right word, but just this like openness, that, breathing room. You can really like feel good about your choices and make choices, wear the things that look best on you, that you feel the best in, that you want to be wearing on a regular basis, versus grabbing the old stuff that, I know that I have this habit is sometimes I'll grab the old yucky t-shirt to work out in because it's an old yucky t-shirt. But inevitably I end up at the grocery store after my workout and run into somebody and I'm like so annoyed with myself that I was caught wearing this old yucky t-shirt when I have a million really cute, nice t-shirts. I buy them all the time. I buy new workout clothes so that I can look cute when I'm working out, and then I don't wear them because I'm saving them for some other workout, like it's ridiculous. So, I need to, yeah, right now the closet's the first thing. But then there's also my office. A couple years ago, I paid an organizer to come in and completely redo my office. She condoed everything. She pulled every single thing out, got rid of, 60% of the junk that was in there, and really pared down to the minimums. And so inside my cabinets looks beautiful. I've got organizers, I've got the clear acrylic, I've got, dividers, I've got file folders, like everything inside the cabinets is great. Unfortunately, all the space outside of the cabinets, once I put my new walking treadmill desk in that space, it became open season for trash collection. And every Amazon box that hasn't been unpacked yet, every item that is going to potentially be returned, or we're thinking about what we're going to do with it, or we don't really know, or whatever. Like it's just become this dumping ground. And so that has to all be pulled out, all those cardboard boxes. I think there's like 5 empty, but big, fully built cardboard boxes that just need to be flattened and taken to the recycle bin. Like it's that kind of space right now. So, after my closet and all my clothes are pared down, the office is going to be a big project because I want to redo the cabinets in there. I have probably 10-15 years ago, we built in 4 desks with big beautiful cabinets in this whole living room and turned it into an office for all four of us to be in the same space. And it's great. But now none of us are using that space. I'm in the family room on a chair, and um, the rest of the family's either on the couch or in their bed or, at the kitchen table, whenever they're on their computer working. So we don't really use that office space anymore. So I'm going to be doing some conversions and turning it more into a living space again. And I need to take off the dark wood cabinets that are in there and put in some lighter colors, but it's going to be a major overhaul. So that is effort number 2 in the decluttering project, but it's going to happen. I hope that if you have any spaces that you have been thinking about cleaning up and just getting, some freedom from, the kind of things that stress you out when you walk by and you look out, or you just close the door and you never want it open and you're always afraid that a guest is going to accidentally open that room when they're looking for something and be horrified to see what a messy, house you have. Just pick a day, pick a Saturday or a Sunday and go for it. Just start. Take in several big trash bags and start dividing things up into donate and trash, and don't look back. Make it happen. Move quickly. Don't spend too much time thinking about it. Look at it. You're going to use it or not, dump it and move on, and you'll be amazed at, number 1, how quickly you can really make a dent in even the most like fortified room. And also how good you feel when it's done. Like once those bags are out of your house, and that's the trick too. When you have bags to donate, put them in the car and drive to Goodwill or drive to your local thrift store that takes donations, or to one of those boxes. For me, I found that it's usually middle of the night or like Sunday afternoon or something when nothing's open in the donation centers. So I know where all of the boxes are in parking lots that I can donate stuff there directly. Immediately put it in your car, drive it away, get it out of your house. You don't be tempted to ever hold on to it, throw it in the garage until 6 months from now. Maybe you'll have a garage sale. No, get rid of it. The $20 you would have made from a garage sale is not worth the risk of you bringing any of that back in the house, that stress of it still being there, that, it's still taking up space in your mind. Get rid of it immediately. Once it's gone, maybe you'll feel a little guilt as you're throwing it in the bin and closing the lid and it's gone forever. But honestly, once you get home and you have that space and you have that freedom, you feel so good. You feel so much relief. Even if you don't realize that it's been weighing you down, it probably is. And once it's gone, it makes a huge difference. So I hope that that's something you will consider doing as well. Okay. We're going to take another quick break. And when we get back, I'm going to share some musings about PTAs. Hey, we're back. For those of you just joining, I'm Kris Kendall, host of Musings of a Super Doer. You've missed some fascinating conversations about moms groups and traveling and decluttering. And now I want to talk to you about PTAs, parent teacher associations. And now the one that my school's a part of is the PTSA, Parent Teacher Student Association. So if you haven't participated in one of these, maybe because you don't have kids, or maybe because your kids aren't in schools yet, these are basically organizations that have a group of parents who work with a group of teachers. It might only be 1 or 2 sort of representative staff members from the school, but sometimes it's many. It could be a pretty good group of teachers that are excited to work with parents to get projects done that wouldn't otherwise happen just by relying on the school district or the internal resources of the school. And now there's a strong push to get students involved. So in addition to students joining PTAs, they also are often able to hold leadership positions and participate in the projects and the programs that the PTSA organizes. So when my kids were young, they were in private school that did not have any kind of parent group, and really didn't encourage parent participation in any way. They did not want room moms. They did not want us visiting or trying to don't volunteer in the classroom. It was a little bit of a bummer because there were times when I really wanted to participate, and for some of the holidays, I think I did just sort of show up and with cupcakes and stuff like that and tried to help out, and I was on pretty much every field trip that my kids had. So that was good enough. I was a working mom and I didn't have a ton of time, so probably being like room parent might have been too much anyways, but it was certainly something that I always wanted to do. So when my son entered into a public junior high, the very first thing I did was sign up for the PTSA. And at the time, it was sort of a transitional group. The hard part with any middle school is that the kids are only there for 2 or 3 years, depending on how it's set up. And so there's not a lot of time for a group of parents to like get things done. So I only had one son who was in that school and he was only there for 7th and 8th grade. So I was only going to be there for 2 years. Now, had my older son joined that school earlier, then I might have been there for like 4 years. And if I had, younger kids behind him, some parents are in a middle school for 6 or 7 years because they have kids that are, constantly moving in and out of the school, even though it's not the same kid the whole time, that parent is still associated with that school for a long time. That was not my case. I was only going to be there for 2 years. So I came in hot. I wanted to be the president and I wanted to, run the show and make all these changes happen and do all this stuff. And so I picked a couple things that were really important to me and tried to make some changes, and honestly didn't really get a whole lot done during my tenure there because um, there was just a lot of fighting with the district and with parents and trying to get people to decide on what they wanted, what was the most important thing to fight for, what was the most important thing to raise money for. And so that wasn't the best experience. But when I got to the high school level and I was going to be at the high school for um 7 years because I had a freshman starting, and then when he was a junior, my younger son started and he was going to be there for 4 more years. So I was there for 7 whole years. So I have had a lot of time to do things. And I'm now at the end of that term, my tenure. My youngest son is a senior and he'll be graduating in a few months. And so I will no longer be on the Parent Teacher Association. However, they do encourage people from the community to participate. So I might still pop in from time to time and help out with specific events or projects that I enjoy. But um, really, the point of the PTA is to provide resources for, I think, teachers. I think it was originally, I don't know, what the original origins are, but um, I think that when teachers are most successful and students are most successful when they have parent support, right? When the parents know what's going on with the kids, when they know what projects, when they know what um due dates are, when they know what the expectations are for their students, then they can help those students be successful. At the elementary and younger ages, it's really important the parents are kind of running their students schedules and making sure they do their homework and do all that kind of stuff. But as the kids get older and they become more independent and they start to manage their own academics, um, it's been my experience, at least, that the PTA becomes more of a resource to the teachers and to the staff. And so what we've done, we didn't have a big budget. We didn't have a lot of participation. We had a core of maybe 3 to 5 parents every year in the past 7 years that I've been a part of it. And then, a handful of other parents that have joined in, and they've kind of ebbed and flowed depending on their schedules and what they're able to do. But what we've tried to do is make sure that there are, during Teacher Appreciation Week, we do some sort of a luncheon, or we do something to show our appreciation to the teacher and staff. During the holidays, we might, try to sponsor a breakfast or lunch or something like that. On back to school nights or report card nights, or things where the teachers have to stay late or do extra things that are sort of outside of their usual scope, we might try to provide pizzas or donuts, or do something to make it a little bit easier for them. And then we also put together some like orientation for the freshmen, so like a barbecue lunch thing for when the freshmen come and visit the school for the first time and find their classes, and check out the scary big high school, try to make that a little bit more comfortable for them as they're getting started. And then we also sponsor scholarships, a couple of scholarships for graduating seniors, and try to, provide things to the teachers that they might not otherwise be able to get. Like sometimes a teacher will really be in need of a color printer for their classroom, or a set of books that they want to use, but they can't get approved, budget wise from the district, or they don't have money to take a field trip, or they need drivers or whatever. The PTA is really just an opportunity to provide some of those resources. And like I said, it's not just for parents and students. Members of the community are welcome to join in and participate. I think, I have a coaching business and I have a nonprofit, and I think that over the coming years, when I'm no longer a PTA member, I'll still come back and speak to students, speak to teachers, offer my services, and offer to help in any way that I'm able to, and that is interesting and useful to them, even though it might not be in the same kind of capacity as if I had students at the school. But the PTA is really a great opportunity for parents and teachers to connect and to have that relationship. As because my kids were older and pretty independent, I didn't meet necessarily all of their teachers, because prior to COVID, and we did back to school nights, I did go, of course, and I did meet with the teachers. But after, they haven't been doing in-person back to school nights, it's all virtual, and so I don't always know who my students' teachers are. But I think that they kind of know about me. I have a bit of a reputation, as you can imagine. Hopefully not all bad. But from my participation on the PTA, they know that I have championed grant programs for teachers, and making some of their parties and some of their social events a little bit more fun, and really tried to show support and appreciation to all the work that they do. And so that's sort of my way of giving back, even though I'm not like in the classroom on a regular basis or anything like that. So if you have an opportunity to check out a local PTA or PTSA, whether for your own children or for as a member of the community, to support the educators. I mean, these teachers and staff, the educators, they're there doing God's work. I mean, they're the ones that are making sure our future workforce, our future, doctors and lawyers and police officers are good humans and educated humans. And so we want to make sure that they know that we appreciate them, and that they continue to be motivated to support our kids and keep them as mentally and emotionally and educationally strong as they can be. So we should all be buying a teacher or a cup of coffee or something today. Okay. So that just about wraps things up for us. It's a little bit short today, but I've got to get packing for Cabo, and I know that you all have lots of exciting things to get doing as well. So I want to thank you for hanging out with me today. I look forward to sharing more random musings with you next time, and hopefully I'll have some interesting but good and safe stories to share. Nothing too interesting from my trip, but and I hope that I've inspired you to, go do something and be a doer yourself. So for now, goodbye from your host and resident super doer, Kris Kendall. We'll talk soon. Now go do something.
Thanks for tuning into Musings of a Super Doer with Christina Kendall. We hope you've enjoyed today's show and look forward to having you back next week. Until then, have a beautiful week.